Hey everybody, Matt Michaels here with Sin City Steve and Simon Street on the Vegas Badboyz of podcasting. Today we have, according to Woods podcast host Adam Woods here with us on our 3 count. And today, actually, 3 count is going to be a 2 count. We have two topics that probably going to take us a little bit of time to talk about. So we're gonna keep it at a 2 count today, and we're going to kick off right away here with a story coming from Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online from the brilliant Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. This is AEW confirms CM Punk's return for debut episode of Collision. Tony Khan confirmed Punk's return on Wednesday's Dynamite. CM Punk's return to AEW has officially been confirmed. Tony Khan announced on Wednesday's Dynamite the former two-time AEW World Champion will make his return on the first episode of Collision, set to premiere Saturday, June 17th on TNT from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Punk has not been a part of AEW television since last September when he and Ace Steel were involved in a backstage fight with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega following comments Punk made at the All Out Media Scrum. Punk has been recovering from a torn triceps suffered during his match against Jon Moxley at All Out, while Steel was eventually fired after the incident. In recent months, there had been reports AEW would be launching a new 2-hour show that would feature Punk as one of the top acts of the show. AEW officially announced Collision 2 weeks ago as part of the WBD upfront, but negotiations between Punk and AEW over his involvement hit a snag over the status of Steel, who he had expected to be backstage as a producer for Collision events. Punk's name was removed from the Collision announcement the day before the show was officially announced. Dave Meltzer reported last week that Punk and AEW eventually came to an agreement to return to television. Steel, fired shortly after the incident, has been hired back by AEW, but in a remote position. So, this is official now. We are definitely getting CM Punk on this show, and everything that kind of has been reported really kind of revolved around the idea that CM Punk was wanted by Warner Brothers Discovery to head up this show, and is the reason that this whole thing came together. Now, this topic is brought up by Sin City Steve. Steve, you heard the announcement, you heard the rumors for months. What is it for you as an AEW fan seeing CM Punk coming back?
So ultimately what it comes down to is this. You can say what you will about Phil Brooks as a person. You can say whatever you will about whatever kind of, backstage antics that he may or may not have gotten into, along with Ace Steel, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega at All Out. However, as a wrestling fan, what I can simply say is there seems to be a strange correlation to CM Punk being a part of AEW and AEW programming being good, and then what's happened the last 9 months, which is AEW program not being good, no CM Punk. I'm not saying that he's the only correlation, but I'm saying that we need to see exactly, what a motivated CM Punk can bring back to the product. Because ultimately, as you said perfectly right there, Warner Brothers Discovery specifically wanted CM Punk. So what happens? The day before the announcement, CM Punk is actually served with some papers saying that we are going to pursue legal opportunities if you do not agree to participate in this show and fulfill the terms of your contract. So that, you can look at that as forcing the hand. You can say whatever you will. However, yes, now 3 hours of TV on a weekly basis as opposed to 5 hours of TV on a weekly basis. Yeah, some of the names and some of the people in the promos and videos, CM Punk, Miro, Thunder Rosa, Andrade El Idolo, and Scorpio Sky was actually a part of one of the Collision video packages as well. So we'll see if once this new show launches, if we actually get all of those names and faces that we honestly have missed seeing on AEW programming for one reason or another. I am all for, more AEW programming. At the last Ring of Honor tapings, Tony Khan unveiled the board of directors for Ring of Honor. That's not expected to be an on-air role. So that should at least help out some creatively with the mind share of Tony Khan. And quite frankly, that's needed. That is something that we've seen over the last couple of years, is things not exactly being as smooth as what they once were. So I think that this is nothing but a positive, and we'll see how long it takes for them to turn it into Rampage Part 2.
I think it's really apropos here that John said Tony Khan provided to the world, or proved to the world, that he needs CM Punk to help with ratings and pay-per-view buys. The guy was a cancer. He was a cancer in ROH, WWE, and AEW. CM Punk is the common denominator in that idea, which I find very funny because it's WBD, and Warner Brothers Discovery is basically they have their own cancer issues because of the fact that both companies have been run totally like shit into the ground, and this merger was probably one of the worst mergers in the history of entertainment. So it's ironic that they're turning to someone who has been a cancer to try to boost the ratings for a new show that's happening on Saturday night, mind you, for 2 hours on a Saturday night. So Simon Street, it's Saturday night, your girl wants to go out, your kid wants to go see a movie, but you want to stay home and watch Collision, right?
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and sit down in the Indian style with a mic in my hand and just sit there for like 10, 15 minutes and decide to say some shit before making a decision, for starters. The one thing that I am going to tell you is this, and I said it in the show, and I'll say it again. Tony Khan, you operate like a bitch. And so now you're being dealt with like one. Somebody is running your company. Now, I think it was cool. You did mention, the article mentioned that they held CM Punk to what he had to do contract-wise, right? But if you really honestly think Collision's going to float off of CM Punk's ass, you're shitting yourself.
Wait. We got to address this. Hold on. Floater off of CM Punk's ass, and they're shitting themselves. What the
fuck? I'm saying in the sense of this. Okay, you asked me what I want to watch Saturday. I'd want to watch Saturday for all the people that Sin City Steve had mentioned. I would actually, maybe not every Saturday, but I would on some Saturdays prefer to sit home and watch. But I'm saying they're building this all to be CM Punk. They're building this all to be CM Punk. They need him for Collision. Am I lying? Did I miss a point somewhere?
No, but what's really interesting, and I think this is very funny about what Collision has become, all those people had complaints or bitched or held up the company in some way. So what do? We put them all on one fucking show.
Yeah, it's the Island of Misfit Toys, bro.
We'll just call it the Hunger Games. They named it perfectly in Collision. Collision course of the bitching and complaining. I mean, shit. I mean, the booking can't be any worse than what it is now. Just fucking book it like that. My point that I'm making is this is turned into a shit show. When this was announced by Tony Khan, confirmed that CM Punk would do it, and that's when I first heard. I'm sure they announced it days before that. But when I finally heard it, I was just like, let's just fast forward. I don't give two shits. And it's nothing against CM Punk personally for me. It's just, again, if I'm going to commit time on a Saturday to watch AEW, I want to see some people I don't normally see. I want to see you actually do good by them to a certain extent, right? I'm just being honest. Like CM Punk is not going to hold my interest anymore because he's gone out of his bag. He does not have the Harry Potter bag where you just pull out new shit. It's the same shit. It's the floater that won't flush.
Well, it's a pipe bomb. Let's face it. The guy created something that fans thought was absolutely 100% real, even though it was bullshit and it was fucking, it was planned. It was brought into, and now he just uses that for the excuse to do anything he fucking wants.
But everybody
Adam,
does that now too. Before you go to Adam,
Yeah.
everybody does that too. That fucking press conference with fucking I'm gonna take my ball and go home type shit from your boy. I mean that was a waste of time to me because been there, done that, got the t-shirt, moved the fuck on. That's honestly how I feel about it. It's just a big waste of time.
All right, so Adam, you sit here and you have wrestling pretty much on every fucking single night now. It's Saturday night. I mean, is CM Punk destination TV? Is this, are all these wrestlers going to combine for a better show or watchable show? And is it just me, or why the hell? If he is such a draw, then why is he not on your flagship program? And does it make any fucking sense in the world to just have him on one show, other than he doesn't want to do Dynamite because people he doesn't like isn't on that show?
So, total disclosure, right off the top, I am a CM Punk fan. And also a person that has basically dealt with him in two different non-wrestling endeavors, like a CFFC Cage Fury Fighting Championship, where he does commentary with John Morgan, like
Right.
in the city of Coachella, like not where the Coachella happens, but not in the Coachella whatever. And he was absolutely brilliant. His commentary was amazing, and he shook hands, kissed the babies, the whole fucking deal, right? And then the other was at the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood when he had that movie with the Soska sisters. Literally took pictures, him and AJ, she's sweet as pie. Like, I can't say any bad things about him. And I also like, CM Punk as a wrestler. The Anaconda Vice, that is a legit jiu-jitsu submission grappling hold. Like, taping up the wrist, like left way, the style. I'm not saying that, taping up the wrist is, he's like the fucking first in the evolution or whatever. There are other people that have taped up their wrist and whatever, but in that left way, kind of like legit, kind of almost like, what is it, Zagat in fucking Street Fighter, that deal, right? So I like and his first run in AEW, like I'm CM Punk, like the fucking, go back to those, go like listen back to the crowd reaction. He's over. Anybody that says he isn't over, again, you have your biases. Like I might not be a fan of Roman Reigns, the characters. That means no bearing on Joe Anawahi, the man who defeated leukemia and is a father and a husband, much like myself, right? But a guy that is a SWAT guy that get punched in the stomach and he sells it, but that's supposed to be bulletproof. That's like I can go down a wormhole, right? But can I admit that he has been a draw for this kind of season of time of the last 4 years? Absolutely. Now, whether that be, kind of cajoling of Vince McMahon or, literally we were coming out of lockdown and literally everything sold out, right? Just like when we were in lockdown, it was the everything bubble, housing market, NFTs, crypto, everything was popping off at the same time. So if coming out of lockdown, if you booked anything, indie event, rave, whatever, didn't matter who's on top or who's on bottom, whatever, that was going to sell out. If there was a patron, whatever, people had cash to burn, whatever, you were going to sell out, right? So CM Punk, it's an interesting case study because it's you guys are. I mean, people are acting like the CM Punk thing is an isolated incident. Whether that be, Warner Brothers Discovery wanting him to be a part, that was a request of the parent company of their television distributor, right? But also, isn't that what Fox wanted to do? And WWE said no. It's not an isolated incident. You mentioned all the people that are going to comprise what I perceive as a separate, mainland AEW show, and comprise a roster. The Thunder Rosa, like you said, the land of the misfit toys is exactly that. But again, all of those people have legitimate gripes towards the company, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just CM Punk. And talk to Will Hobbs, talk to FTR, there's a litany of people that have glowing things to say about CM Punk, right? That, he was the one who kind of sat and I might have been backstage at a show in Ontario when he basically gave up the AEW title. In the Bucks' hometown, got a standing ovation, and he was sitting like literally in the center of where, like what would perceivably be Gorilla. Anybody that wanted to come up to him, he was there for them. Look at my match, whatever. He was there for them the entire night with a fucking bum ankle. So, like he's a guy who has drawn money. He's a cancer in ROH. He drew in ROH. OVW, drew in OVW. WWE, ECW, whatever. He has been at the top of the card everywhere he's worked. Even in the UFC, the 2 times or 3 times that he fought, like I don't know what that says about the UFC kind of powers that be, but he got paid pretty hefty sums for it, right? This is a guy that has overcome so much. Like if you read into his backstory, and I mean, he was like literally.
I gotta stop it there.
Oh, go for it.
No, you know what? Because I'll go back and knowing some people who knew him being from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Brooks is about Phil Brooks, going all the way back then. Now, the problem I have is very simple. You can be a very, very fan-friendly person, very charismatic person with the people watching the product. Absolutely. That is what you should be, right? You should be someone who is great with the fans. But the funniest thing about him, to me, that I just absolutely do not respect him for, is this is a person who, when he came back after 7 years, said he loves this so much. He loves wrestling, but he did not go to New Japan. He did not go to ROH. He did not go to TNA/Impact. Why? Because they wouldn't pay him the money. The only other company had to be created and have a billionaire who could afford his salary to give him that opportunity. If you really loved it, then why didn't you go to one of those companies that wrestling fans, your fans, love and respect, especially a New Japan or an ROH? And ROH went out of business too. Remember this. If he is that much of a draw, would have brought enough eyes to that product, which would have kept Sinclair very happy to keep ROH. So it bugs me in that way, in that sense, that if you're going to say you love this so much, but yet you're not doing it because of the fact that you're not getting that kind of money that you think you're worth, you have 2 choices here. It's either the love of it and you go do it, and you do it for a little less and make more money on the back end, merchandise, etc., or you wait for the capitalistic opportunity. And that's what he did. And during the capitalistic opportunity, what did he do? He went into a professional situation at a scrum and sat next to the guy who's paying him all this money and made that guy look like a total fucking idiot. And that's the problem with CM Punk. He went into business for himself, and that's what the guy continuously does. So that's my problem. Even if he is a good person with your experiences, even if he's a good person with fan experiences, he continues to prove that when he's in a longer work environment, that he's kind of a dick.
So, I mean, and that is all true. It's not hyperbole. I agree with you there. But also, in that 7 years sojourn between the WWE and AEW 10 years, there's a guy, that would pop up in, random indie wrestling shows, right? Some 30 people, some 200 people, some 1,500 people would show up under a hood, kind of in terms of stature, CM Punk-esque, and would hit GTS on, the heels, in a match, even sometimes in opening matches, right? That may or may not be CM Punk, right? And he did it over the course of 7 years. No money. What money is he going to make? Whatever. And he didn't want to take away from the actual promotion, right? But he would be there. There are a lot of times where I know for a fact that him and Lars Fredrickson were backstage to a lot of Bay Area events, a lot of even Texas events, indie shows, just nondescript or whatever, and approachable to whoever may be. So it wasn't like he was there. But yeah, I mean, wouldn't you want to go to a company and make more? Right. And, I hear one of my friends, I guess I don't want to out him. Right. But one of my friends is all about, like he's Punk. He's a fucking corporate elitist asshole, whatever. Okay, cool. So is Johnny Rotten fucking trying to kick the homeless out in Venice. And, like he's Johnny Rotten of the fucking Sex Pistols is the heir of aristocracy. Who'd have thunk? That's where we are, right? Rage Against the Machine is charging an assload of tickets, through Ticketmaster, the literal fucking machine for, the reunion tour. So I don't know, like who you like, dislike who you like. If you don't want to see CM Punk or Thunder Rosa or anybody, because I've seen wrestling Twitter, I've seen it all, then don't watch Collision. Right? Like my dad always said, like the voting power that you have is your dollar, right? And whether that and your patronage, right? So if you don't want a patron
time,
yeah. But the question becomes this, and that is, okay, if you don't watch it, which people will not watch it, all right? People will watch it. All right, we're going to have, we're going to have a curiosity crowd. You're going to have a big number, at least for the first couple weeks, trying to see what this is.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest question here is this. We already know that AEW has, let's say realistically, about 800,000, maybe 805,000 consistent viewers, give or take, every week. Okay. And that's Dynamite.
Mm.
The big question here for me is that if Collision, which a success for Collision is simply doing better advertising number money wise than Big Bang Theory reruns and a fucking movie that everyone's seen since 1986, right? So we know it's going to be successful, at least because the eyes are going to be way bigger in that realm. What's going to happen is this. Tony Khan is once again going to brag about how good this product is. And you're going to see the same shit creep in because, again, it comes down to talent having more control over the owner and making the owner believe that he's doing the right thing and having a great job and whatnot. And I think the Bucks and the Elite do the same fucking thing on Dynamite, and that's why you got two different shows. I'm not gonna. This is the problem. We got to
speaking truth. You speaking truth.
Yeah.
They just do it differently. But the one thing that I was gonna say earlier, the reason why I get the way I am about CM Punk is because, like you, Woods, I was a CM Punk fan. But here's the problem. When he came to AEW, I was disappointed. Now, I had to give it a bit of a grain of salt because it's been X amount of years since he's been back in the primetime spotlight. And AEW, we knew had the problems with booking the way they did, right? But it was okay. I was okay with it. But then this focus of what happened in that press conference, I feel like that is what is booking now for CM Punk. So it's almost like now they want him to be this person. So come Collision, I feel like the focus is going to be just mostly that. And that's just my opinion. And I don't want that. I want old school CM Punk back. If anything, let's go with the whole island of the misfit toys and let's just call it like it is. Hey, you know what, guys? We're on Collision because we're difficult to work with. Well, you know what? Let's start a rebellion. Aha! That's what CM Punk is good for. That's what made CM Punk in WWE. If there's two different shows in the Elite or on Dynamite, bring the fucking pain of Collision.
Right.
Let CM Punk be the lead. I'm just saying, you have a problem writing storylines, Tony Khan. Here's one for you. Just buy me a ticket front row if you fucking decide to do it.
So,
Yeah.
Really quick, Simon's got a great point. The show should have been called Rebellion.
Oh, I think WWE owns the trademark in the UK.
I think so. Yeah. That's wrapped up.
But also, I mean, okay. So the thing about it is, there's a stacking of that's happening of the Elite and CM Punk, right? So we just came out of this pay-per-view, right? And the hard cam side was kind of tapered off, right? United Center, they're only running half capacity, right? And I'm all like, is that a dig by the Bucks and Kenny to be like, oh well, if they say we can't draw, well, in his hometown we can't draw. Like we got, draw better in Ontario, which is a stone's throw away from Rancho Cucamonga, than CM Punk in his hometown. See, Tony, he's not what you thought he was. Like, and the Bucks and Kenny have over the course of 4 years. Maybe it wasn't as apparent when they were on the Indies or what have you, but like they have this way of nitpicking, right? The attacks, they mock, they're like, oh, we're going to be the gentleman in the room and whatever, and then go out and fucking flub up CM Punk spots and shit like that, or like basically do a live version of fucking botching, a la CM Punk. And I'm like, you guys are supposed to be EVPs. Even that whole brawl out scenario. Imagine if you're the fucking, not even the teaser pleaser or fucking Hooters, general manager, we're going to come in and fight you if you say fuck off, right? But that's what executive vice presidents did.
Paper
that
titles
doesn't happen anywhere.
Paper titles. At the end of the day, the head of your company is not a true head of your company. He just funded the money. The EVPs that you have are not people that are qualified to be EVPs of a company. That's why you have what they say, the old adage goes. That's why you have the inmates running the asylum. It is what it is. It all comes down to company discretion. That's why I said, Tony Khan, you a bitch.
Well,
yeah, and the reason, and they haven't grown outside of their core fan base one iota, and that itself. And this is, you remember, Kenny's whole thing, the Bucks' whole thing. We want to share our wrestling, our art with the world. Well, it's a minute detail compared to the wrestling fans that are in and around the world. Have we got glimmers of hope? Absolutely. The Forbidden Door, Danielson and Okada, this was supposed to happen last year. Everybody got injured. So, I mean, knock on wood, we get the card that I feel as wrestling fans and you patrons of both products, both New Japan and AEW, this is what we wanted, right? So knock on wood, everything comes into fruition, right? But, I just watched like a fucking FMW card not too long ago, right? With Akira Hokuto, whatever. That shit was way better because like a Terry Funk, Mick Foley, like what's his face, Onita, right? They were already fucking superb workers that did that, the deathmatch shit after the fact, right? So that's one thing that the Elite are missing, I think. Right? Because once you see one of their matches, you've seen them all. They're one-trick pony. They make everything mean absolutely nothing in ring. And then even more so, behind the curtain. What do you got here? And that's and that paired with AEW not really having a succession plan beyond Tony Khan, this leads to a bigger issue. And again, I've got AEW. I don't even buy figures like that. I've got like fucking 20 AEW figures and whatever, because it's the fucking people that I like, but also I kind of have it as like a time capsule. If this shit goes fucking south and sideways, hey, there was that company where that fucking billionaire son fucking literally took it to Vince McMahon. What happened to it? I don't fucking know, but it, you know, the rest of the shit is in the grab bag with the American Gladiators toy. Hopefully this will mean something, kid.
And again, we all learned a lesson of what a money mark is.
Oh,
at the end of the
WrestleLicious?
day, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It's sad. It's sad because again, the talent is nice, but you know, you said something about the elite. So Forbidden Door that acclimates more to the elite's brand of AEW. What about Collision? How does it acclimate to Collision? And I'm only stating it because y'all said something perfect. There are two different types of brand, which is okay. WWE for a time had similar to that. You remember Raw and SmackDown were kind of two different types of brands. Yep. But again, how does that work out? This is stuff that I guarantee you, Tony may not be fully thinking because he stretched himself thin. Because when he's organizing, he did it emotionally. He organized AEW emotionally, which is not a bad thing if you have the right people around you to get you to calm down and make great decisions.
Listen, let's be realistic, and I don't think this is anything that's ever been said before by any of us, and that is this. The Khans are successful in sports teams, right?
And automotive parts. That's
All
where
right.
the money, yeah.
Yeah, but based on this, and that is the reason I say sports teams is there's a difference. In sports, you have a league that is overseeing every single ownership, and everyone who owns a team is part of that league. In professional wrestling, you have a company that you own, and it's your company, and that's it. And they're not publicly traded. So the idea here is they might be wonderful at owning a sports team, but there are certain rules and regulations and things they have to follow to go by and make those, you know, those things successful. And as John says, I mean, if tanking for Trevor is successful. But again,
I mean, honestly, if we're going to call it that, I mean, I would rather have Trevor Lawrence than Jimmy Garoppolo.
There you go. Jimmy, I can't keep my foot out of a casket. He's the Chris Statlander of the NFL.
Ooh, damn. Oh, too hot, too soon.
Too
soon.
I mean, he's an alien.
Yeah.
Way to say that.
Yeah.
There you
that was
go.
a good one.
There you go.
But that's the whole thing. The whole thing is that in this venture, listen, in the NFL, you can be held up by guys and you can trade guys, you know. But here, if you're held up by a talent, you either cave into the talent or cave into what the network wants you to do. And that's the one thing from the beginning I've said it. Once the network starts getting involved, you're in trouble. And that's what we're starting to see over the last year is that there's more involvement. No one ever saw this change coming where Discover would merge with Warner Brothers. And the people who initially got behind AEW are no longer there. So the people who are going to be fighting for AEW now really are people who just want to make money and don't give a shit about what the product actually is.
Until somebody dies.
Until someone,
and that's probably going to happen sooner than later, and I'm sad to say that.
Yeah, if they continue to let Julia Hart wrestle, yeah.
Oh, I was going to go under Sammy Guevara, but
yeah, there's some stuff.
Yeah, Sammy's got a kid coming though, so maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
but again, but you know, we talked about earlier about WWE and Endeavor and titles and stuff, right? and this is just maybe an ignorant comment, but just drive with me for a second.
Okay.
What if that's all Endeavor knew they could do or fuck with WWE? All right, right? Because it's a money-making machine. It's been proven years and years and years. At the end of the day, we don't want to mess with too much of the sauce because we know it's going to make us money, right?
Mm-hmm.
AEW, they don't have an established sauce yet.
Mm-hmm.
So any company is going to be like, oh, I want to fuck with this. I want to fuck with this. And then Tony Khan, who's supposed to be a shepherd for his flock, is allowing everybody to just come in and touch the sheep, which is the product, any type of way he wants. I'm being honest with you. No. I'm being honest with you, man. He's over there pimping out the talent in the show, not even for market price. That's y'all laughing, but you're going to come back.
No, I thought is the talent the sheep or the... Because are we pimping out sheep for the...
Well, the analogy is a pimp is to a hoe what a flock is to a sheep. You can't just let anybody touch it and they don't pay the price, because what you have in sheep and hoes is product. It's money. It's your business. And so that's what I'm saying.
Where did Luke and Butch, the sheep herders, fall into this equation?
Because I'm saying that
one of them is rolling over in their grave.
Well, okay.
Going over or rolling over, two different.
But I am saying with the part of a person that's like a shepherd, right? They're supposed to make sure and manage the flock, to make sure that there's still a viable option, to make sure that they can graze, which is opportunity, to make sure that they're safe from wolves. When you have these bigger corporations, if you don't have anything established, you're going to have any and everybody come in and do what they want to do because you don't have nothing established. And that's been AEW's problem business-wise. There's nothing really established.
Well, Shepard Smith, we're talking about, right?
Yes, Shepard Smith.
He couldn't be safe. He couldn't be safe from the fox.
and we know that sheep are never safe from the foxes. So.
Yeah. What is the fox saying?
All right, really quick. After that,
that's what she said.
We're gonna go to count number 2 really quick here and get this in before we say goodnight. Sami Zayn.
What are you talking about? We're going to keep this going. My name's Vince McMahon. We can just keep it going.
Yeah, pal. Shelton!
Sami Zayn says people made assumptions about why he didn't go to Saudi Arabia before WWE, NOC. Those are my people. One half of the WWE World Tag Team Champion, Sami Zayn, is the guest on latest After the Bell with Corey Graves. Zayn talked about going to Saudi Arabia for Night of Champions. It was really, really, really kind of a heavy trip, to be honest. There was a lot that went into it. First of all, the fact that I haven't been there in a few years and that there's been so much speculation as to why I'm not going and what's the political reasoning, this and that. I won't get into all of it, but I'll tell you 99.9% of what you read online about this subject completely fabricated, people assuming things and then running with those assumptions and adding onto them. It's wild. I think it's anytime they can't get a concrete answer, that's kind of what it tends to happen. I think that's like human nature almost. It's been years since I've been back to the Middle East. I think the last time I was there was maybe 20, maybe 16 in Dubai, possibly. So it's been a little while. Of course, as you saw in Premium Live Event, all this to say, I'm Arabic, I'm Muslim, all this stuff, and that's like part of the world. I understand those people. Those are my people. When I went there, I got to go to Mecca, which was just a surreal experience. I also saw my uncles that I hadn't seen in 25 years. I have cousins that I haven't seen in 25 years. I met my great uncle that I didn't even know existed. So it was pretty heavy in a lot of ways. It had a lot of weight, and then the actual event itself and the reception from the audience, it's kind of what I've been waiting for a while, in a way, because again, I always felt like I would have been the natural representative for those shows, and I just wasn't. So it was good to finally be put in a position and in a main event spot opposite Roman and Solo, and the story that's kind of been carrying the company for a minute now. So I don't know. I felt like it all kind of just came together perfectly. I couldn't have asked for a better way to go back. It was perfect. Um, so, it's kind of the idea here that Sammy actually, was saying that people just made assumptions of him, why he didn't go back. Simon Street, this is your topic that you sent in. What are your feelings about the idea of Sammy actually really just enjoying going back and really had some personal reasons, but most of the shit that was out there on the internet was bullshit?
Well, I mean, I first and foremost brought it out because, I love the opportunities where I can say that I was wrong. And long time ago, way long time ago, when we first started this Saudi Arabia deal, I was very passionate and even, dare I say, ignorant in saying some of these claims. So, it's kind of a good opportunity for me just to, be a person of integrity and say, hey, I was wrong. But more importantly, too, I'm glad I was wrong because look at it being one of a very high moment for, Night of Champions was Sammy. I mean, like that was a very sentimental moment. Dare I say, even supercharged the show for a match. And again, it just goes to show us that look, we all have our opinions. I'm a very strong opinionated black man, but at the end of the day, I don't get high off my own supply and tell everybody my shit's gospel. It's not, and it just goes to show that a lot of we wrestling fans, we have big imaginations, and sometimes our opinions kind of get the better of us and stuff. And so I'm glad that Sammy took the opportunity because he didn't have to. That was a private moment for him, first and foremost. Him going to Mecca, and I get the whole big machine of WWE wants to highlight everything, but for him to even continuously to kind of share that, I think that's very special. And I'm glad that we were all who watched it got a chance to go on that journey with him, and it meant that much more of what that match meant to him. You get what I'm saying? Because we always have people that go to their hometown, right, and wrestle in front of their people. But for Sammy, it was a lot bigger. Now I'm sure WWE made that bigger than what it was, but for us, it was cool because it answered something that we were pondering about for like 7, 8 years, maybe almost.
Well, you just said something that brings me to you, Steve. Simon just said hometown. Well, really, Sammy just wrestled in his hometown a couple months ago in Montreal, which was a huge event. So he just got two of the biggest things in his whole life and obviously has been rewarded for what he's done with this story of the bloodline and what he's been able to do as a trooper in the company. And also, let's face it, it also coincides with the fact that Triple H is now in head of creative. So, is this a sense of up until now, there hasn't been a reason for him to go over there and to have, that kind of attention because he's never been in a position in the company that would make any sense for him to be presented as he was at Night of Champions.
Without a doubt, man. It's just think back, if you would. Obviously, it wasn't too long ago that Sami Zayn found himself in a match against Johnny Knoxville as a comedy match. And if he didn't just blow that out of the water and then embark on the biggest the biggest storyline arc in his career. Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head with that. He wasn't in the position to where it would have necessarily been worthwhile. But realistically, I mean, this was the time to do it. This was the time for him to go back because many people thought that he should have won the undisputed title, the Universal title in Montreal. And this is the hottest time of his entire career right this moment. And, you can say whatever you will about, oh, well, they should have done this or they should have done that. Who's to say that they still can't double back and find a way to do it? Sammy is, quite frankly, I would say one of the most over baby faces in all of professional wrestling, no matter which promotion you're looking at. And I think that he's going to have that kind of level until somebody foolishly has him turn heel. but I don't think anyone's that stupid. So realistically, I see his trajectory going up. And quite frankly, in a year, it wouldn't surprise me if he is the world heavyweight champion or the universal champion.
Adam, when you look at what this means in terms of being an international representative, not only in terms of the sport of wrestling, but for people who are looking for an escape out of their lives, or looking for someone they could look up to and know that they could be just like them one day. I mean, how important is the fact that Sami Zayn has gotten this opportunity and is, setting that example for possible future generations?
I thought that was Mansoor's job. No?
Well, we don't know. Now
We don't talk about Bruno. No, so let me get this straight. And shout out to Corey Graves. To me, he's our generation. Not that anybody would compare to the late great Bobby the Brain Heenan. One of my that's who I draw inspiration for continually throughout the course of my career. But I mean, everything that Graves does. I mean, I watched him and saw the PWIs with him as Sterling James Keegan. He's been amazing for damn near 30 years. So shout out to him. But let me get this straight. So Sammy had family in Saudi, long lost a great uncle, who probably is the latter stage of their life and what have you. That wasn't enough incentive for him to go back to his people. But a main event slot would. So he's no different than CM Punk then.
Yep. Sure.
Okay. So, but I mean, and I don't want to get into the political side of things because I don't know enough, about the, I know he's Syrian and practicing Muslim and what have you, but also no, in terms of the Orthodox Muslim, the way that his wife was in Montreal with with the traditional head garb. I don't know where that all fits in, if it's a Montreal thing or a Muslim. So I can't speak on that, with any sort of legitimacy. But what I can say, right, is the fact that Saudi Arabia, right, they didn't want to tell. They wanted Yokozuna. They didn't want to tell the Saudi king, whatever. So they just random sumo guy, and he shows up, whatever, right? So how could the king of Saudi Arabia and the Saudi Sports Commission look at the last 51 weeks of WWE programming and not want Sami Zayn? That they're the Ric Flair clause, right? Where fucking Ted Turner is like, we gotta have fucking Ric Flair, otherwise this whole deal is the shits, right? So we don't know what happened, right? But
right.
I want to believe, and that's just me. I want to believe that Sami Zayn's star and trajectory over the last year and a half has been so bright that it was undeniable, and the people of Saudi Arabia and the Sports Commission were like, whatever bureaucratic red tape that there was, that shit went right out the fucking window. And we got this amazing moment, of him in Saudi, the pop when he had the garb. It was fucking phenomenal. One of the greatest moments in wrestling history. And I don't want to downgrade it and rate it and whatever. No, but it was one of the most transcendent. You didn't have to watch or know the storyline. You see that pop. The people are fifthly casual friends that just oh, what the fuck are you watching? You show them that and like, oh, what is going on here? And that is something that crosses the pop cultural lexicon into not just wrestling fans, but fans all over, fans of whatever it is. Naruto, what that transcended moment, right? But I will also say Sammy's statement, it's kind of WWE kind of hyperbole, We saw it when the Daniel Bryan saga and whatever. We knew what we were doing, whatever. And he, that spot at Mania 30, that was all going to be him. No, it wasn't. We've heard from Batista. We've heard from everybody. That wasn't the plan. It was us that changed the trajectory of Bryan Danielson's life and career during that time, right? So Seth Rollins utters it. Like, there is a corporate speak. I don't know if it's WWE speak, corporate speak, or whatever, but it permeates in times like this, right? And I don't, like I said, I put over Graves because he deserves to be put over, but this is a WWE sponsored podcast, right? Yeah. So we're not going to have like a RF video shoot or, what somebody that isn't in the auspices of the WWE Universal Network of distribution is going to say. We're not going to get, the hot button topics being talked about, right? That's going to be on the cutting room floor, if ever talked about. But that doesn't take away from Sammy and this moment, the real life guy that this happened to. So kudos, whichever way, he has his reasons, whatever. In my mind, I mean, an alter ego of him is, at an orphanage in Tijuana, right? Yeah. So, I mean, he transcends, right? Whether it be, villages in Mexico or in the Saudi government or, Rydia or what have you. He transcends. So, as a guy that, worked in front of like 20 people, you go to the AJ Styles promo, from SmackDown and what have you. Well, this is a guy that has done it. And to have, like it said, 3 WrestleMania moments in a fucking calendar year, and the year's not even over. Kudos to him because he's worked hard for it. And even that Monaco match wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Yeah. And I think that, it's just all around a good story, especially for someone who, started off his career as a masked wrestler who was generic. So to go all the way to where he is now is just a wonderful thing to see. All right, we're going to wrap it up now. Final thoughts, Simon Street.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in and spending time with us on this special late edition of Vegas Badboyz of Podcasting. Simon Street's going to leave you guys in with one more quote. If you look at the people in your circle and don't get inspired, then you don't have a circle, you have a cage.
And there's probably sheep in that cage.
Yeah, with
and pimps.
Yeah, and Butch with the boomerang.
There you go.
And Al Costello somewhere with the fucking windjammer.
Sin City Steve.
Oh man, thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all the stuff that you guys do. We appreciate each and every one of you. Very special shout out and thank you to all the brave men and women serving this country, whether you're doing it on lands, foreign or domestic. Thank you for doing what you do so that we can do what we love to do. And last but not least, repsports.com, reppsports.com. Go there for all your pre-workout, weight loss, and general energy needs. Again, repsports.com. Promo code Vegas at checkout. Save yourself 15%.
And Adam Woods, your final thoughts.
You can find me Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, the According to Woods Principal podcast, as well as Instagram, where I'm posting dumb shit almost on a daily basis because I do the work, so you fucking don't have to. That's literally what I'm coming with. But moreover, if you haven't already liked, shared, and subscribed to the Vegas Badboyz podcast, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They are putting out premium content for you for free. Like the best deal in combat sports, MMA, pro wrestling. You got it. They love it, and they bring it to you so you don't have to do the legwork. They've done the legwork for you. So go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Is that's the bottom line? Because, I don't know. Adam Wood said so.
Well, we appreciate that. And for those of you listening too, we appreciate you guys for tuning in as well. And DJ Impact will be out for this whole month. So, you'll get to hear his wonderful voice here, coming July. And we'll be glad to have him back. So for now, though, until next week, everyone, please stay safe out there and happy wrestling, everybody.